Leveling up in Fallout New Vegas to see this screen is probably one of the most satisfying things you can do in the entire game.
Oh my god, smell that air!
However, in order to max out all your skills to 100, you need to follow a very specific plan and also build your character in a certain way. Now, I've made videos about this in the past, but I've learned a lot about Fallout New Vegas since then, and I made some mistakes in those videos, so I wanted to make a new, updated, and definitive guide on how to max out all your skills to 100, build a perfect character, and also have the best possible early game to start you out strong. So let's not waste any more time and just get right into it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you exactly what to do with your special stats, because you need to be very deliberate with how you distribute your points if you want to max out all your skills and also have a really strong early game. So the first thing you want to do is dump your charisma to 1, and that's because we won't have enough points to do what we want to do without dumping a stat, and charisma is just the least useful special stat. It only increases your speech and barter, and it's only a requirement for 2 perks in the entire game, and the perks aren't very good. So just dump your charisma to 1. The next thing you want to do is raise your endurance to 8, and this will let you get every single implant from the New Vegas Medical Clinic that will raise all of your special stats by an additional point. And then you can also get one more implant, which would be the subdermal implant, because that will increase your damage threshold. Now you're going to miss out on the implant that makes you regenerate health, but that implant is actually not very good. It's only +1 health every 10 seconds, and to invest 9 endurance to get that is just not worth it in my opinion. Next you want to get 8 luck, and luck is very important for many reasons. The first off is that luck increases your critical hit chance by 1% for every level. So at 8 luck you'd have just a natural 8% chance to crit. Luck also increases all of your skills by 1 point for every 2 levels. So for instance, at 1 and 2 luck, you're going to have +1 to all your skills. At 3 and 4 luck, you're going to have +2 to all your skills, and so on. So at 8 luck, you're going to have +4 to all your skills, and then when you get the implant, it's going to push you to 9 luck, and you'll get that +5 to all your skills, which is really nice because if you think about it, that's basically a free +65 skill points from having 9 luck. Also, luck is really important for the early game because we're going to bankrupt the casinos to get a bunch of early caps to get all of our implants. So this leaves you with 3 points remaining, and you can kind of do whatever you want with these, but what I recommend doing is getting 7 strength because there are a lot of useful perks that require high strength. It also increases your carry weight and helps with weapon handling, so all around strength is a very useful stat. And then I recommend getting 6 agility because there are a lot of perks that require 6 and 7 agility, and it's useful to invest in that, especially if you like to use VATS. So this setup, in my opinion, will allow you to get every single perk in the game that's useful, especially like the most powerful ones like better criticals. The implant will put you at 6 perception, etc., etc. Now, the common misconception is that you need to have a lot of intelligence, and I've made this mistake in the past as well. Now, you can do this with 5 intelligence. In fact, it's even possible going lower, but the margin for error is really small and you'd have to make very few mistakes. So I just recommend leaving intelligence at 5. You're going to have plenty of skill points and everything you need to do to max out your skills, and then everything else is going to be really strong. So for your tag skills, it doesn't really matter what you decide to tag, but I do recommend tagging barter because it's super low from having 1 charisma, and we're going to sell a lot of stuff early game, and it's nice to get extra caps. The last 2 don't really matter. I'm just going to go with lockpick and speech. I know a lot of people also like to do guns, so it's really up to you. And finally, we have to pick our traits. Now there's really only 2 decisions you need to make here. The first one is that you have to get skilled, and skilled is really strong because it increases all of our skills by +5. So this is basically a +65 free skill points, very similar to 9 luck. You do suffer the -10 experience gained, but this really isn't a hindrance at all. There's already so much experience in the game, and it's really easy to level up, so this isn't going to affect your progression at all. Now, I know there's an exploit where you can pick skilled again when you leave Goodsprings and revise your character, and you can also pick skilled a 3rd time in Big Mountain when you use the auto dock. But in my opinion, that's just an exploit, and that's basically the same as cheating. And if you're willing to just cheat to increase your skills, then you might as well just use console commands or some other technique to increase them as much as you'd like. So if you're planning to do this legitimately, just take skilled once. You don't even need the extra skill points from exploiting it 2 and 3 times. Taking it once is more than enough. So now that you have skilled, you have to decide what you want your other trait to be, and in my opinion, there's only 3 that are really viable. The first one would be Build to Destroy if you want to go for a crit build. The second one would be small frame, because this is a nice way to get a +1 permanent boost to agility, or wild wasteland, which is pretty self-explanatory. So depending on your build, just go ahead and pick whichever one you like. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly show you what your skill should look like if you follow this exact build. If you add all of this up, it's going to be 322 skill points, which means we're already off to a really strong start right at the beginning of the game. So now you should be prepping to steal everything of value from Doc Mitchell's house, Victor's shack, and the Prospector Saloon, because we're trying to get as many caps as possible before we make our way to New Vegas. Now, Victor's shack has a chance for a stealth boy to spawn in the back ammo crate, so make sure you make a save right before you go in, and if the stealth boy isn't there, just keep reloading your save until it spawns. And then we're also going to loot the fission batteries, the other ammo crate, and the weapon repair kit. Now, the only other place to get a stealth boy this early is from Joe Cobb, but I choose to not get involved with the Ghost Town gunfight quest. So it's also important that you go get the Salesman Weekly from the back of the Prospector Saloon, because this is going to give us a really important barter boost later on when we sell some high value items. Don't use it with Chet though, just go and sell everything you got here in Goodsprings to Chet, and if you did everything correctly, you should get about 600 caps. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys the exact path I take to get to New Vegas with the Stealth Boy at level 1, and how to also get 4,000 caps before you get there. Now, also make sure you grab the snow globe on the way up to the cemetery before you leave. While this is playing in the background, I'm going to use this opportunity to explain all the other steps you need to take to max out your skills and the correct build you should be pursuing. The first thing I want to talk about is educated and comprehension. Now, I've made this mistake before in my previous videos, and I've also seen it a lot online. A lot of people think that you need educated to max out all your skills, and that's just not true. It is nice to get the +2 skill points every time you level up, but educated is just not necessary. You can max out all your skills without educated, and when you look at it that way, educated is also just a wasted perk, because at level 50 you're not going to be leveling up anymore, and educated literally does nothing for your character. So in my eyes, if you want to have a perfect character, you should just avoid wasted perks like educated. So definitely do not pick educated. Comprehension, on the other hand, is very useful, because this is going to give us 1 extra point from every skill book we read, increasing it from 3 to 4 skill points. Now, at level 50, you could say, well, that's also wasted, but the benefit of comprehension is that you get double the bonus from reading any sort of magazine, which is really helpful all throughout the early and middle game to think about getting a +20 skill point boost to anything you need to do. That helps with really early speech checks, barter checks, lockpicking, hacking terminals, etc. So comprehension is very useful throughout the entire game compared to educated. Now this brings us to the topic of skill books, because obviously if we're taking comprehension, we want to track down all the skill books in the game. So there's a guaranteed 94 skill books in Fallout New Vegas if you have all the add-ons. There's 52 in the base game, 13 in Dead Money, 16 in Old World Blues, and 13 in Lonesome Road. So with these 94 skill books, times 4 points each with comprehension, that means we have a guaranteed 376 points from skill books. And the reason why I have Honest Hearts listed at the bottom as 0 to 16 skill books is because Honest Hearts has a really weird mechanic with the workbench crates. There are a total of 4 unique workbench crates scattered around Honest Hearts, and the way they work is their loot is determined when you first enter the area, so you're going to want to know where all the locations are and make a save before you go there so you can keep loading your save until the workbench crate has what you want. Now, the workbench crates have a chance to spawn a bunch of random things, including skill books, and they can spawn up to 4 items. So that means that every workbench crate does have the chance to spawn up to 4 skill books. However, this is extremely unlikely. It comes out to a 1 in 625 chance to spawn 4 skill books, and considering there's 4 workbench crates, to do that 4 times, that's just a ton of saving. You'd be doing like around 2,500 saving and loading on average, so that's just not realistic. What's more realistic is to expect about 1 to 2 skill books per workbench crate if you want to save a little bit and load. However, you don't even need any skill books from Honest Hearts to max out your character, so if you want to choose to just avoid all of this saving and loading, because I know it is a very big hassle, you can just choose to get no skill books from Honest Hearts and you'll be completely fine. So the last 2 things I want to talk about are the skill points you get from leveling up, which is going to be where the bulk of all of this comes from, and also the skill points you get from getting all these special implants from the New Vegas Medical Clinic. So the way that leveling up works in Fallout New Vegas is you get 10 plus your intelligence divided by 2 skill points every time. So with 6 intelligence, we're going to get 13 skill points every time we level up, and we have 49 more levels until we get the max level of 50, which means we have 637 skill points available to us from leveling up. Now the way that special stats work is each one of them is tied to one or more skills, and every time your special stats are permanently increased, your skills will also permanently increase. So if you get every single special implant, this will also increase your skills by 39 points if you followed the exact build I showed here. Before I finish the last section of this guide, I just want to show you all how this comes together. So you get 322 skill points from starting the game, 376 from skill books, 637 from leveling up, and 39 from implants, as you've seen that I broke down in the video. So this comes out to 1,374 total skill points available if you follow this guide. Now you only need 1,300 skill points to max out your character, so that means you have a 74 skill point cushion in case you make mistakes like getting a skill book too late or something like that. Once you're almost at New Vegas, we need to make a quick detour to Durable Dunn's Stacked Caravan. It's very close to the NCR Sharecropper farms. I'll show you on my Pip-Boy in a second. But the reason why it's so important to come here is there's two Vangraff thugs that both have black combat armor and plasma rifles. There's also some ash piles with some decent loot as well. Now the plasma rifles and black combat armor are very important because this is where we're going to get most of our caps. At this point, we want to use the weapon repair kits that we get from Gunrunner's Arsenal from starting the game, and the one we found in Victor's Shack to fix our plasma rifles. We're also going to use the barter magazine that we found in the Prospector Saloon before we sell all this stuff to the various vendors. Because you're going to see, even with the barter magazine and tagging barter at the start of the game, we barely make over 4,000 caps using this strategy, so it's very important that you do that. I also recommend discovering the Vendortron and both of the Freeside gates before you use the magazine, so you can just quickly fast travel and retain the bonuses. So sell the most expensive stuff like the black combat armor to the Crimson Caravan Company and Gunrunners. The Gunrunners are going to go a little bit over, so just buy a gun for a couple hundred caps, and then sell everything else to Mick and Ralph's and Julie Farkas at the Old Mormon Fort, and you'll see that if you follow this strategy, you're going to have slightly over 4,000 caps. At this point, you could go get an implant at level 1 if you wanted to, but that's actually not necessary. What we want to do is go to the Atomic Wrangler and start gambling, and this is going to accomplish a few things. The first thing we want to do is make at least 1,000 caps, so we can go buy an implant and still have some money left over to keep gambling. Also, if you play 10 games of blackjack, you're going to complete a challenge that gives you 90 experience. It would normally give you 100, but we have skilled, so we have that 10% debuff. But it doesn't matter. This is going to put you to level 2, and you're going to be able to distribute your skill points. And you'll see that at level 2, even with 5 intelligence, we're still going to get 13 skill points. So this is basically the same as if we had 6 intelligence. So it's basically pointless to go get the intelligence implant at level 1 because it wouldn't give us any sort of benefit. The best thing to do right now is to actually get the luck implant, because gambling with 8 luck is okay. It's enough to still influence the outcome of the game, but you will go on losing streaks and that can get frustrating. So it's way more consistent to just go get the luck implant right now, get 9 luck, and it's going to make gambling for the rest of our caps way easier. The last thing we need to do is go bankrupt the Atomic Wrangler, which will happen once you make over 5,000 caps, and with this money we can go get the intelligence implant. But before we do that, while our pockets are fat, we want to go get clearance to enter the strip, because you need at least 2,000 caps for that. So just do it right now while you have all this money. And now we're going to be level 2 with both the luck and intelligence implant, and as long as you spend time to get all the skill books, you're going to have everything you need to max out your character. And you can also spend the early game getting all the other casinos bankrupt, and you're going to have a really strong start. So that's the end of the guide. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all found it helpful. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, comment, or subscribe. And until then, I'll see you all next time.